What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Level With You show, a weekly video game podcast where the three or four of us get together and talk about, you guessed it, video games. My name is Wiley Olmstead, and this week I am joined by the too artistic one himself, Anthony Duart,
How's it going?
Mr. Sub-Zero Hero, Kenny Castro,
What's up? What's up? What's up?
and his phantom status has returned. He's here listening and chatting, but not on camera, Tyler Hadley.
We got a good show for you guys today. Great topics. That's why I'm here. Not
Good
in the
show,
flesh.
good stuff.
Not in the flesh. In your
All right.
ghostly form.
So the team has been live on Twitch throughout the week, playing a little bit of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, some Madden Mondays, as well as some Among Us. Were you guys playing that on stream, or was that part of another channel's thing?
No, that was just for funsies.
Oh, just for funs, but maybe in the future, check back.
Yeah.
So you can find this video live every Tuesday afternoon on Twitch and YouTube Live. If you can't catch it as we're doing it, you can catch it later on that night, upload it to YouTube, or the following day on podcast services if you want the audio format only. We also have an active Discord. Please join that if you're interested in chatting with us, squadding up for a game or two. And if you'd like to ask us a question during the stream, feel free to pop in and we'll do our best to get to it. All right, gang. 69. 69. Nice.
We made it. We made it, guys. Last episode. How do you feel? We made it to
Oh,
69. Remember we
that
made
was-
that blood pact at the beginning of the show? We're like, we're going to get 69 episodes.
That's all we
I
need to
And then we're
do.
going to keep going.
Well, now that it's a momentous occasion, I'm feeling a little bit sad.
So,
We tried and we did it. That's
We
I
did
mean,
it.
where does a podcast go from here? 70? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Just stops. 69 stops. That's our legacy.
I guess we
What
could go to
comes
New
after 60?
Game Plus, Podcast Game Plus.
We could. We could just skip straight to 71.
We
Hmm.
could. Yeah, I think
Or
we
just
could-
go
we
back
could
to
do that.
one.
We could
Like
just go back to one. We
Yeah.
could just repeat. Yeah, you're right.
Season 2.
We could reset.
Level With You, Chapter 2, Episode 1. Not a bad idea. I mean, got the Fortnite people back into it.
We have to
Yeah,
get
there you go.
different shirts. We have to get different shirts that we wear every podcast, and every one of us we all have to change slightly something.
Yeah, right. We all have to come back with like something new. New
Yeah.
haircuts. Kenny's gonna be like super slim and skinny.
I'm gonna be a lot fatter than I am now.
I'm going to grow my mustache and buzz my hair. It's going to be great.
It'll be like
All
the
right,
freaking. I'm sorry. I had to think of the Aldini brothers from Food Wars, and one of them is like really fat at first, and then like in the summer he slims down completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny. That was a good little transition from like season 1 to 2, and then he gets fat every year again as he
Yeah.
cooks all his meals.
It's a struggle.
That was good. That was good. I like their little rivalry, the Aldini brothers, and who's the main characters?
Soma.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got to get back to that. It's been a few weeks. Definitely still enjoying Food Wars, but it's been on hiatus as far as my personal rotation goes. What about you guys? Any animes been dominating your evenings or lunch breaks?
Well, since I didn't want to pay $300 for the Blu-ray, I ended up doing a free week trial of Crunchyroll to start watching the Persona 5 anime dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great anime, but I love the game and I like the story. So it's been pretty good. The opening's very catchy. It's very sick.
Man.
But did that. Been catching up on Black Clover again finally because I got Crunchyroll. That feels good. Finished Seven Deadly Sins, the new season.
Season 2.
Yeah, it was good, but I think it's season 3 now. Even I forget, was
Would
it 2 or 3?
I know that's one of your favorite, Tylers. How'd you like season 2 of Seven Deadly Sins?
Well, the most recent season was season.
Was it 3?
Are you asking me about season 2 or season 3?
Oh, the most recent. I thought it was 2. My mistake.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I kind of was hoping that they would cover a little bit more.
Same.
I mean, I was kind of like hoping that the Seven Deadly Sins kind of series would end at this point.
It feels like it should.
But it ends on a cliffhanger where it's like, okay, now we gotta wait a whole another year for the next season because
Yeah,
I just wanted them to kind of like conclude things a little bit. I
I'll
don't
wait
know
even
why,
longer if it's better animated because the animation in this season fucking
Really?
stunk. Yeah,
Huh.
I didn't like the animation.
I think it's a step up from the last season. So
Yeah, there's definitely good bits and there's definitely parts where it's just like, ooh. people getting drawn to make these paid to draw these cells are not feeling so hot.
Well, what about yourself, Kenny? I know that you watched 300 episodes of Naruto in a 10-day span. Has that burnt you out, or are you back on the grind?
Well, I'm back on the. I've been just jumping around anime, so I've been, keeping up with the latest season of Sword Art Online. It's back up. It's back up and running again. Also, just keeping up with the dubs of Black Clover, but I did just start the Persona 4 animation.
Ah, yeah, I did see that on the Funimation too. When I
Yep.
signed up for it, it's like we got Persona 4, and I'm like, that's a good one too.
Yep. So I just started that. I'm on
And so,
episode.
what are these like one episode or one season things? The Persona 4 and 5 animes.
Yep.
Mhm.
Just one season covers a whole game. That's it.
How many episodes in a season?
25, I think.
Yeah,
Like
because I
four-
know the
yeah,
Persona
sounds
5
right.
one is 25 episodes long.
Cool. Do they have all the same voice actors from the game?
In the dub, yeah. At least 5 so far. I haven't watched 4's dub.
I
They
can't.
only have 4
Didn't the Persona 5 end kind of in I can't remember how it ended.
Well, they added the extra episode afterwards after they announced the
Royal.
the Royal. Yep.
Oh, there's another episode now?
But when I caught it, I caught all of them already out. But there was, I
I'll
think
have to go look
it
back
was
into it then.
I think it was 24 at first, and then they dropped 25 after Royal was announced. Yeah.
Check it out.
Maybe I've seen it, maybe I haven't. It's been a while.
Before we hop into the games, guys, you guys got any highlights from your week you'd like to discuss?
Pretty boring week. Not too much exciting.
Man,
Okay. Well, I
Um,
saw Wales IRL. That
you
was pretty
did.
neat.
yeah.
You went out into
I
the
did.
world.
Went out
The
on a
whales.
whale watching trip for the first time ever in Gloucester, Maine, on a big open boat with only 30% capacity of passengers. So that was nice. Got to social distance and space as much as was physically possible, except for when a surprise whale appears over on 2 o'clock section of the boat.
Everyone runs
Is that
over.
what they do? Do they like the whale 2 o'clock? We'll
Yeah,
go to
they
this
do.
side.
You hear a
That's
guy
cool.
with a real, like,
Captain
Awesome.
voice.
captain of a Bostonian ship accent. 2 o'clock, we got the dolphins over there. We also saw a pack of about 50 to 75 dolphins all swimming in unison. It was very, very
Ooh.
cool. They said that they
Nice.
only show up on about 20% of the trips, so felt lucky to experience that. One bummer was, when a whale breaches, it like literally jumps up and shows a lot of its body. It's pretty. They said that it's only like 10% of
Ooh.
cruises, or not cruises, but of, you know what I mean, when that happens.
Mhm.
And it happened with a baby whale
Aw.
during this one, and I just saw the very tail end of it out of the corner of my eye, and Elena completely missed it. So she was a little bummed about that, but it was still neat. We saw a lot of flippers flopping around, and just they're mostly humpback whales. We didn't see any finbacks, which are the even bigger, like 75 to 80 feet ones. We saw a lot of humpbacks, which are like 35 to 45 feet range, but still huge and neat. And we had a good weekend out just on the beach relaxing. So
Nice.
And it was Elena's birthday, so happy birthday, Elena.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
thank you. Maybe she'll watch and appreciate that. But other than that, been pretty standard. Been my usual work week. Missed yesterday because of the day off, so I had a lot to catch up on today. But nothing too strenuous.
We got a long weekend coming up.
We do. I didn't find out about that till today.
For you guys, I'm on call until for an extra day because I'm on call heading into the long weekend.
Yeah, that was part of the
Sorry.
appeal of taking off this Monday, was the fact that I knew Labor Day was around the corner. It would be like double
2 in a
dipping.
row.
So that's exciting news for us with Monday through Friday jobs, which I guess we all have.
Speaking of other exciting news, did you get your haircut, Wiley?
I did, and I'm
It
not
looks good.
actually. You think so?
Yeah, it looks fine.
It looks fine. That's what I would say. Yes. I was actually pretty excited about how it was looking before. I just wanted like a trim.
You kind of got the pump. You get like the pompadour. I like that.
Yeah, but before my hair was like literally going really
You're like
far down.
Kuwabara.
It was very curly. I felt like I hadn't had as much confidence in my hair than I had since like my early years of college, and now I'm back to just feeling kind of about it. But
Dude, hair game's rough. I feel you. I'm going all gray now.
are
Yeah.
you?
Oh yeah,
I know
full bunch.
some of it.
Dude, a few days ago, Elena's like, I shit you not, you have a white hair coming out of your nose.
No. I gotta
Sick.
figure out how to get those
Thanks,
out of
babe.
there. I was looking at the drive-through and I was like, oh god. I was like, I feel bad for anybody who has to look at me. I'm just like, hey, how's it
Yeah.
going? It's just a bunch of nose hairs sticking out.
Fucking nose hairs is the worst.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
they
do
are.
it, you start like tearing up instantly, start crying.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to use a trimmer, man. Like I do the pulling them sometimes, but
Trimmer's the way to go. I used to have one. I gotta get my old. It had like a little attachment you put in your nose. It's really weird because you just go. I'm like,
it's
am I
so-
getting anything?
yeah, mine's wicked. I know you can't really tell if you're getting anything. You're like, let me blow, see if
Yeah.
any come out, and
I'm not
it's
gonna
like,
sniff it up. I'm like, I'm like, it's a weird thing for things to go into.
it's a device that could be improved for sure.
Very.
All right, so our topic of the show this week, we're going to be looking back on this generation of games and finding the one that was most surprising to us and most disappointing, one that we had big high hopes for that let us down, and the opposite. But before we get to that, we're going to be going through the games we've been playing throughout the week, the ones that we've been either streaming, playing solo, squatting up with friends, doing what we do. And I think we should lead off with the new Xbox Game Pass title. It's also available just about everywhere else you'd want it, Spiritfarer. Tyler and I have both put in several hours to this, and we're pretty over the moon about it, I'd say, in the first few opening hours. Would that be fair to say, Tyler?
No, yeah, I've actually been liking it a lot more than I thought I would. I'll probably talk about it a little bit more later too.
Cool. All right, so to set the base or set the scene on what Spiritfarer is, it is a 2D management sim, I guess you would say, where you are ushering in creatures, animal-like creatures, onto your boat and ushering them into the afterlife. So you know that they have passed on in another realm, and you are there to sort of comfort them and get them what they want and their sort of their last wishes, whether it be somewhere they can work on projects, somewhere they can cook their favorite meals, or something maybe a little bit more personal to that character. And you do this by gathering materials, going from island to island. There's sort of an overworld where you set your coordinates there you want to go. You click on it, and then you have a pretty lengthy, I won't call it a load time, because you can do everything that you can on your ship, like water crops, check in with other folks on the ship. You can even build upgrades if you have the materials during the time where you're sailing. But there is, like, sometimes, depending on how far the destination is, like a 20-second to 2-minute wait time in between destinations. How did that aspect of it work for you, Tyler?
You're talking about like the wait times between like cooking and stuff like that, or
No, more so the wait time between destinations, because like it's
oh
pretty.
yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, it all depends on kind of like how you play the game. I mean, the way I was playing it, I felt like I was kind of just like exploring more than anything. So I would end up kind of like getting like certain missions and objectives, but I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna go to the other side of the map and explore this area just to find out I need to like go back to the other side. But really, it didn't matter that a whole lot to me, because I was enjoying just kind of like the regular tasks of tending to the garden and making different recipes and stuff like that. So I've really just kind of been taking this more as a leisurely thing more than anything. I'm not trying to like be too try hard or anything when I'm playing it, and like really focused on like progression super quickly. Which
Gotcha.
is hard. Which is hard for me because it's always what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you mentioned the cooking, the game has a really fun cooking aspect to it. Usually, any two ingredients well, they'll actually tell you if they're two ingredients that just simply will not make anything, you can't combine them. But pretty early on, you're able to expand your kitchen to where you can combine them, and you're making fun dishes like bouillabaisse. Bouillabaisse. I always have trouble with that word. Or shrimp scampi, or I can't remember the other ones. It's been a few days since I actually played it, but I think that part is neat. You know, the folks on your ship have, oh, I love this type of food. I love the whale guy that loves everything. And then there's some that can't eat shellfish or that are strict vegetarians. And so it has that sort of Animal Crossing / Stardew Valley type of vibe of trying to please the people on your ship. You also can give them a hug at any time, and they can get tired of that too. They'll be like, no, I'm good.
Just enough hugs for today.
Yeah, or like I just need some alone time right now.
Oh,
And
I feel.
each of their stories seems, to varying degrees of seriousness to be at least poignant and touching in some way. And I think that you're right on when you say that it's a casual experience. Like there is some depth there, and I don't think either of us are close to finishing it. Do you?
I don't think so. I think we're both probably pretty far out because I haven't even gotten like the first like transportation kind of upgrade, I guess you might call it. In the row where like the mailbox is. So I think like the next upgrade is like the icebreaker, and so like there's a whole section of the map that just is blocked by like ice glaciers.
Okay.
So you must need to get that upgrade. And there's one specific item that I still have no idea how to get in order to get that upgrade. It's like a spirit flower or something. So I'm still kind of just like exploring around and trying to find out like how to get that item.
Okay, so you're a little bit farther than I am, and I'm glad to hear that it seems like it expands far out than where we are, because I didn't even know that there was part of the map that was covered in ice. I think I probably put in, I don't know, 5 hours at this point, and it does seem like I'm just sort of getting started, but that's okay because of the relaxed experience. It's something that I want to last for a while. It's a very cozy game, and I think the art style is beautiful. It's got just wonderful animations, whether you're climbing a ladder, whether you're jumping off a roof, whether you're fishing. The game has a really fun fishing aspect to it as well. So if you're fans of games like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley, I think this is right up your alley. Even if you're not, if you have Game Pass, I'd recommend checking it out. If you don't have Game Pass, watch a YouTube video, see if it's something you might be interested in. I think it retails for $30. It's got overwhelmingly positive reactions on Steam last I checked, so seems like a big hit among the general peeps.
Yeah, I'm liking it a lot. Just like being able to find like all the additional crewmates and stuff like that. I think I have 4. Yeah, 5 right now. And you're always just kind of like going across the map and to different areas, and you can tell like when somebody is supposed to be like an additional crewmate. But you always have to do like certain tasks in order to get them to join you, and certain tasks might take like certain abilities that you need to unlock, but in order to unlock them you need like other additional crewmates to give you a special item to unlock new skills.
Yeah.
So it is very exploratory.
Yeah, and I think in a natural and unfrustrating way, like you have to get to a certain place, you need to unlock a certain character, but as you're going along the way, you're also getting resources to maybe upgrade your workstations back on the ship, and you always feel like you're doing something. Whether or not maybe you're stumped on how to progress in a certain way, you're finding your time valuably spent in other aspects. All right, moving on. So Kenny, last week you had been pretty positive on Madden 21. Your initial impressions, you were very early on, maybe only played a few matches, and then we come to learn that this game is the worst reviewed game in history on Metacritic. Now, I'm not a fan of these user reviews on Metacritic, but
they're
have you
not far
changed your
off.
tune?
Oh,
Have you
big
changed-
time.
Okay.
So when we first talked about it last week, I was the only one. I was practically playing by myself, playing here and there some matches online, doing challenges. A lot of solo stuff, and within just one mode. I did a
Mhm.
couple hours in, Face of the Franchise. That's kind of the same old story. They don't out these sports games. I don't think they do great with the stories, right? It was all right at first, but man, once I try to squad up with friends, come Friday afternoon, the most horrendous experience I have gone through, where players would start out. So you would squad up with two other friends. I would pick as the defensive captain. One would be the offensive captain, who the offensive captain always plays as the quarterback. And then one would be the head coach. There is a practically like a game breaking glitch right now that if you come out in the shotgun formation, there is almost like 100% chance that after the snap of the ball, the person who's supposed to control the quarterback is no longer controlling the quarterback. The head coach, whoever was assigned the head coach, is now the quarterback, and then that person who was the quarterback is nowhere. Like he's not controlling any player until the ball is caught.
Wow, that sounds pretty broken. All right.
That's
Yes.
wild.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was.
so,
I was seeing some other people just taking a look like Skycam like around the fields and stuff, and like people were showing that like in Madden 21 that there's banners of Madden 19 and Madden 20, and I was like, what the like? How does
Wow.
that happen?
People are
You got.
wild,
I
man.
haven't seen. I haven't. I don't do. I don't take my time to do that stuff. My attention span doesn't let me.
Feel
But
you.
if that is true, that isn't.
it's true. Yeah, I was seeing some pretty funny videos of that as well. Just like
Wow.
zooming around the stadiums, and you see literally John Madden's face, and it says Madden 2004, and you're like, what?
What?
No, I'm
That's
just playing.
awesome.
Just playing.
I was gonna say
It's not that bad.
I wish it just
But
has the
honestly,
2004 logo.
I don't know how you can go if you try and do the same formula over and over again. I don't know how you can go from 20, and just kind of break the game into 21
I
and
wonder
ship
if they were
and
really
ship it that
affected.
way. Like they must have stress tested. They actually handed out beta codes. I remember in July, like closed betas, and still shipped it off with like these huge glitches, because this is squads and just superstar KO playing with two other friends is one of the major things I've spent hours playing on Madden, and not to be able to do this because of these glitches is wild to me.
Wow. So I'm back on the Metacritic page, and I'm being a little hypocritical because I was so dismissive of The Last of Us 2 poor ratings, but this is just 0.3
It,
is now the average rating from about 3,000 reviews.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Man.
there is some serious vitriol going on for Madden 21. Lots of calls for the NFL to drop EA as the sole proprietor of the NFL license, to let some other folks give it a shot. We had the super successful NFL 2K5 back in the day, which launched at $20, really gave Madden a run for its money. Madden or EA said, enough of that, we're buying the NFL rights. So it's been that way ever since. There's been some, NFL spin-offs here and there, but not a, as far as I know, like a true competitor to Madden in almost 15 years now, which maybe they're resting on their laurels a little bit, not putting in the work to make it exciting for their fans year after year. And it's a bummer because I know, Kenny, you're a big proponent or a big Madden fan, and you've got a whole show based on it. Does it make you want to drop it? Are you still hopeful that they could turn it around?
Man, I know you guys were putting catch in, but I mean, aside from all these game breaking glitches, I feel like they took it even a step further with the Ultimate Team, which is what I've been playing the last two Madden Mondays, and it almost feels like you have to spend $200 to have the best team at the moment.
That
Like,
sucks. I'm sorry, man. That's
you
just so.
can't-
I can relate so hard to a game that
Yeah.
you have a lot of fun playing, but you need that monetary, like the microtransactions to make it like an enjoyable game. When you're like, oh man, this is great. I bought this game for $60. I just want to play it. And you go home and you're like, okay, maybe 10, 20 bucks on DLC or add-on stuff like this. It's like in-game purchases. That's okay. I'll let it slide because I really like the game. And you're like, oh, man, I'm having fun, but I have like all this buyer's regret because I just spent like $50 on like in-game currency to get packs of stuff that aren't guaranteed. But it's like if I just spend $20 more, I have a chance of getting this new drop out of this new pack.
Nope. Honestly, it was like they spit on the face even more for anybody that only grinds and is trying to play this game mode without
Ugh.
spending any money.
I'm sorry,
So
man.
I like in the middle of a game, I switched to my second screen and I was like, yeah, I'm cutting it short. I'm logging off. Think I had already logged 2 hours of the stream and I was like, yeah. I was at the point I don't ever get close to breaking a controller, and I thought I was gonna break my controller that time.
Wow,
Ooh, damn.
that's some rage.
Yeah.
Holy crap, Kenny.
Glad you restrained yourself. Because you can
Those
really
expensive.
hurt your fingers when you do that.
Yeah.
But that's rough, and I'm sorry to hear that one of your fave franchises is headed in the wrong direction. Maybe this will be a wake-up call akin to, Battlefront 2, and they'll turn it around for Madden 22. But that's a bummer, and maybe next week will be a more fun stream for you. Hope so. Madden Mondays still going as far as we know. All right, guys. So I know that Kenny and Tyler played a little bit of a game that has gotten a new lease on life ever since that all its DLC was available for free. It's called Among Us, and it's available on Steam and mobile for $5.
Ooh.
Tell me about it. Why is it fun? Why is it popping up in the discourse?
I think it's like you said, like they released all of their DLC maps for free now. I really have no idea how much they were prior to this, but ever since then, it's kind of gotten a new life. They've had a lot of YouTubers and streamers and people playing the game, and pretty much what it is, it's just kind of like a imposter, like find the imposter kind of game, where you can have a group of up to 10 people, and you can set the rules. The imposter's goal is to kill off everybody, and to kind of blend in and pretend like they're one of the crewmates. Where the crewmates are trying to figure out who the imposter or imposters are, and vote them off of the ship. So every time the imposter kills somebody, if somebody finds the dead body, then it enters into like a meeting, like a voting situation where people can talk about what they saw. Say like, oh, I found the body in the cafeteria and I saw so and so running the other direction. I think they could be the imposter. And then like other people might say like, oh well, so and so was with me earlier on and I think they're good or whatever. So it's just like a whole lot of like back and forth, and the imposter trying to lie their way out of being voted off, essentially.
Okay.
So it's pretty fun and interesting. We had a good time with about like 8 different people, and yeah, I think the big draw to it is just people like bullshitting their friends for the most part, and then if they actually win, they're like, I got you fuckers.
Yeah, so it's like gaslighting the video game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How long does a session last before you figure out who's who?
Probably like 5 to 10 minutes max. Sometimes even less.
Yeah, because it could go less if somebody messes up. Like they kill somebody, and as somebody's walking into the room that they're killing somebody, right there, it could get reported instantly. Like then once you go into the meeting, you hear them like, "I walked in on them. They were killing them."
Yeah.
He did it. That son of a bitch.
And were you playing this on voice chat and Discord, or how are you communicating?
Yeah, so we were all in Discord. So the main premise of the game is that you're not supposed to talk when you're in game. So like as you're traversing the map, and like the crewmates have tasks that they have to do, and if they complete all of each person has their own individual tasks. If all the tasks get completed before the imposter is able to kill everybody, then the crewmates win. But the fun part of the fun is that you can't talk while tasks are being done. You can only talk during like the voting and like discussion portion of the map or the game.
And so is that people that just doing the honor code and not talking in Discord? Is there
Yeah, pretty
any
much.
sort of... Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty much people just doing the honor code, and then if somebody is killed, then they're just supposed to stay silent through the rest of the game, so they can't just like say like, "Ooh, I'm a ghost. So and so killed me."
Yeah, that would kind of
Ooh.
suck.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a good time, a good way to get together with some people that might be, still quarantining or elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check that out. Among Us.
You could probably run it.
Steam for
You probably run it on
$5.
your computer, Wiley.
Yeah, I was thinking that
Pretty
might be a good investment. Cool. So let's see other games we've been playing. Anthony and Tyler both been playing a good amount of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered, a game that they were so excited about. And IGN gave it a 3 out of 10.
That's wild. That's crazy.
Not that IGN is the end all be all, but they're pretty respected. The game is currently sitting at a 61 on Metacritic. That's being the Switch version. And I am curious to hear your thoughts as a big fan of the franchise. Why don't you start, Anthony? You haven't had anything to say in a while.
Let's see. It was a big switch up. No pun intended. But to start out, I was expecting the co-op to kind of be more. I think that's kind of the consensus with everybody who's played it so far, is that the co-op in the game, you thought it'd be like I was hoping, and I'm sure a lot of others were hoping, it would be a big like kind of you jump in the person's game or you jump into people's games, or it's like a lobby or whatever, but you can kind of play together. You go to towns together, dungeons together, and we got one of those. We got dungeons together, and that's pretty much all you can do multiplayer wise. So if you have friends you're talking to a Discord or some kind of communication service, you're able to talk to them. Sadly, since it is cross-platform, I mean, that is really cool for a Switch game. I really didn't think it would be like I could play with you guys. You guys all got it on PS4 and I got it on the Switch. So that is really cool. We can play together through the different systems. But it does kind of suck that they don't have like a voice app. In-game Nintendo was good with Animal Crossing, whereas they had a voice app. You could talk to somebody through that if you went to their town, or I forget how that worked exactly, but it would have been cool if they kind of incorporated something like that. I know that's a big other thing, but the gameplay was really great. It was just like how I kind of remembered it from the GameCube. I was always kind of chasing that multiplayer buzz on the GameCube back then because I didn't have the Game Boy Link cable that you needed to play with friends. So I was always like, wow, I'm sure this game would be so much fun if I could play with other people, not just by myself. But it's I'm still having a good time with it. I'm close. I'm on year 7 or 8 right now. I think I'm just about to hit year 8, and I'm not sure where the game ends, but I'm pretty sure I'm close to the first playthrough done with that.
I wouldn't want it to go much more than 10 years. Have the characters changed in appearance at all? Or no?
I found a memory crystal that makes you look like a cool other sulky guy, because you have to stick to your race when you pick. When you go around, you find the little collectibles and Moogle stamps. There's like a Moogle house in every town or dungeon, and you go to them and they stamp your card. And once you get 3 of the same kind of stamp, the Moogles give you a memory crystal, and that's basically a different costume, like a cosmetic that has no other function besides make you look different. Which I still thought it was a pretty neat feature, because I know there wasn't anything like that in the original.
Okay, Tyler, you're the one that hyped this game up as our next big streaming game that everybody's gonna love.
Hey, I do.
Okay, he does, and I'm just playing.
No, I know. It's okay. It's okay if you don't like it.
So Tyler, you I think you started off pretty positive, but I'm curious as where you are now with your thoughts.
I mean,
Tyler, lay it on me.
The gameplay is still kind of fun. I mean, I don't know if you want me to get into it now or if you want me to get into it later.
Into it now. We're talking about it.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll just go out and say, if I were to pick one of my most disappointing games of this generation. This would probably be it. Man, just because of like the nostalgia factor, like I was expecting a game that I loved growing up, and I was expecting the same kind of experience, like with the multiplayer, like being able to like travel in like a single caravan and kind of like be a part of each other's towns and like stuff like that, and progressing through the story together and upgrading together and stuff like that. But it just like misses that whole aspect there, which I think was probably the biggest draw for everybody. I mean, I've seen tons of people on like Final Fantasy's Twitter and like posting on like Reddits and stuff like that, and people are mad about how this game turned out, mainly for like the multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, it does not seem to have the communal aspect that it could have to make it worth, really giving it your all, I guess, or making it to be a Twitch game that could really engage the community.
Yeah, I would definitely have liked to have seen, like you said, towns and more of the caravan, especially the cutscenes, because that was like one of the biggest draws. Is like when you're going around, you have those seemingly random events that happen to your caravan, and you see your little guy or your guys. Did it do multiple characters on the GameCube version? Like when you were doing those little like events, would it show like your different party members in your caravan if you were playing together?
I honestly can't remember.
I don't know. I
If it was
never
only one
played with
character or
people,
not.
but I didn't know it had a story. The game's got a story. Found that out like
Does
6
it?
hours in. Yeah, it's got a story. Didn't think it would. It's pretty good too. I'm really liking where it's going so far. I think that's what's hooking me is kind of the draw of finishing something I started years ago, but never
I hear
completed.
that. I hear that. So I played for about 2.5 hours with you guys the day it came out, as well as Kenny, and I had some fun. But I do have to say that the gameplay, just for someone that was not a fan of the original game, it seemed very dated. It seemed very sluggish.
Movement really sucks in a group, especially going through tight corridors.
Yeah, but I thought I mentioned it when we were playing, that the fact that you can only bind physical attacks, magic attacks, and healing to one button really slows things up. I'm like, have you guys seen Diablo? Like that, it's allows you to map them to a certain button, so you can be actively moving and not cycling through a menu every time you want to do something, to make the combat more dynamic. So I do think that the visual style was okay. I think that the graphics did look like a very good looking GameCube game, and I think they did an okay job with that. Did not make me want to go back and try more. Although if you all were like, "Hey, we're streaming," and I was around, I'd give it another shot. But it did. I can see why people are disappointed, and that's pretty much the long and short of it. Kenny, you have anything you want to add?
Not really. I haven't played it enough. I think just that one night I played. I tried playing again with the guys the other night, but the servers were down. They were actually
We tried to stream.
Boo servers.
And also I was running on no sleep and I passed out on the mic. So
Yeah, you slept like 2 hours that day, and then you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go to work. Worked all day. You came home, and you're like, I'm still going. You got home at 10. You're like, let's play video games.
Well,
I was like, Kenny, you're in prime form.
11:20 hit, and I was already snoring on the mic.
It was really.
You snored on the stream.
It was relaxing. It was a good ambience. It was like,
I think I did snore real quick on the stream, and then I woke myself up.
You were snoring for like 5 minutes. I didn't want to say anything. I was like, Kenny, you sleep, Kenny? I was like, Kenny, I think Kenny's asleep. I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to wake you up.
You could try putting on the just chatting portion of the site, just Kenny snores.
Yeah, ASMR Kenny. Video
Yeah,
game.
I think
you pass out.
I think Square really wanted to get like out a new mobile game, and they kind of was like, all right, well, this is like easy enough to put on mobile, and why not put it on console? Why not put it on console too again? So I think that's kind of like where they went with this.
Do you know if you already have it? Like if you bought it, can you just get it for free on your phone, or do you have to buy it again on your phone?
Come on.
I would imagine.
I was gonna say, I think I know the answer, but I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Oh shit!
It's $40, right? Is that correct, Tyler?
30.
Oh, 30. Okay, that's a little less egregious.
Speaking of Crystal Chronicles, I just got a notification because I was talking with Tyler last week, and I don't know how you get your notifications on the new iPhone because I'm a big dumb idiot. But I just saw 16 notifications that my Crystal Chronicles GameCube strategy guide came in.
Oh, well, that'll come in handy.
Yeah, for the 12-year-old game. New widgets. I don't want widgets. Never mind.
I didn't know you were doing the
Ignore
whole
me.
strategy guide collecting thing. What was the other one you mentioned that you got last week?
Oh yeah, I got the Pokemon Coliseum strategy guide.
Oh, jeez, nice.
But I've been on. I gave it a little bin. Oh, and Final Fantasy VIII. I got the official guide. I just put it on my Vita. Actually, I had a craving to play it on my Vita. I picked this little puppy up at a place called Tom's, where they got really good
That
deals on
looks
vintage stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, this
That's
one's is
cool.
really good condition too, which I was really stoked. I
I'll
want
give
to actually
you
be good at triple
250
triad
for
for
it.
once.
I had the 10 one back in the day.
That was a big one. I remember seeing that at Blockbuster and that being like a Bible, like
I
a
had the
survival guide.
I had the
Mhm.
Skyrim.
Yeah, that one was
guide.
big too.
But
That
that
one
one's
was
a
like
Bible.
a Bible, yeah.
The Oblivion one I remember being huge.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, next week we're going to be talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, maybe some Avengers if one of us decides to pick it up, as well as lots of other games we've been playing. But moving on to the topic of the show, we are looking back at this generation, which is quickly coming to a close. We only have, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and we're feeling a little bit reminiscent of the things that made us happiest and most let down. So we're looking back at the biggest surprises and biggest disappointments of the 7th generation of consoles. Who wants to start with their biggest surprise?
We'll go.
Everybody jump out the window.
Yeah, everybody, don't all raise your hands at once.
I'm so surprised. I was surprised by. I really want to say a sports game, but I didn't play any of those. That Captain Tsubasa though, maybe that'll change my mind. We'll see.
That
Hey,
would be surprising.
Captain Tsubasa.
That'd be very surprised. Maybe I'll go into that. Maybe I can redact it if I ever play that. But my biggest surprise so far is probably Shantae and the Pirate, or Shantae Half Genie Hero.
That's
from
when
this
you were
one.
talking about a few weeks ago on the
Mhm.
show, right?
Yep, yeah, I was really pulled into it. Once I started it, like I put it down for a couple months originally, and then when I picked it back up, that was just a full like weekend of just straight playing that game till I beat it. And then I even played a couple other modes because you can pretty much play through the whole story again, but with different characters with different abilities and stuff, which is neat.
And this is several entries into the series, released
Mhm.
on Switch last year, it looks like, as well as everywhere else. What do you think made it such a game that I think you were 100%ed, right?
I did, yes, I did, except for the one thing I forgot, and I forget it was like one little small thing, but I went back and did it, and I was like, yes, 100%. But I gotta say, Sexy Girls, it's a big one. It's part of it. Shantae's Babe.
Okay.
Banging soundtrack. Music, really, really high. Love that music. The soundtrack was tight. And it was just variety. It was nice to switch it up for me. It was a personal kind of to go from straight like RPG, action RPG to like platformer. Side-scrolling platformer. Like very nice. Love the art style, upbeat. It's a good change of pace.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I think the art style does look really neat. I sort of fell off the Pirate Curse, which I was playing a few weeks ago, not because I thought it was bad, it just wasn't really grabbing me, and I just wanted to move on to other things. Maybe I'll get back to it at some point, but
That's what happened in my
that
first playthrough. Maybe you come back to it and be like, "Woo!"
Oh, yeah? Okay,
Mhm.
good to know. All right, so I will talk about my biggest surprise next, and I have a choice and a sub-choice. I have to go with one that I know everybody already knows about, but it's one that just came out of nowhere for me and just took over my winter of 2018. So it was like right after, or maybe no, 2017. Right after it came to consoles, Stardew Valley. I'd
Mm.
never played a farm simulator before, was not into games of this nature, or at least I hadn't been since the original Animal Crossing on GameCube. And I heard Dan Reichert of Giant Bomb talk about how much he fell in love with it, and I knew that there was just a lot of good hype around it. And I ended up in about a month and a half putting in 80 hours, getting to year 3, maximizing my crop intakes, just getting so into it, getting into the Reddit, interacting with that community, and it's just one that I will look on most fondly once things are all said and done. I enjoyed it so much that after purchasing the PSN game, that I decided to get the physical one, and yeah, I thought it was just a true gem of a game. And if you haven't played it, you totally should. You can get it $8 on your phone, $15 everywhere else. They're still supporting it. Community's fantastic.
It's got
Stardew
multiplayer
Valley
now.
does have multiplayer now. I haven't even got a chance to mess around with that. I mean, it's been a while for me. And I will say that once I got to a point where my farm just was so expansive and I had sort of things, and I had my cookies and cookie jars everywhere. I didn't know what to do when I began my game. I think that I just became a little disorganized, and I
Mhm.
had to worry about my cellar, I had to worry about my cows, my chickens, my pumpkins, my sprinklers, going into the mines to get things so I could get better sprinklers. It does eventually get to a point where it becomes a true management sim of not casual proportions, which
Mm.
some people is great. But for me, that was when I started to just like, okay, I got married, I had a kid. I think I'm happy with what I've done in my 3 years on the farm, and it took me, 85-ish hours, if I recall, and I will always think of it fondly. So yeah, that's me, Stardew Valley.
Nice.
Kenny, you played a little title and you actually completed a Souls-like for the first time in your life. Tell me a little bit about your game that you chose as your biggest surprise at the gen.
My biggest surprise is Remnant from the Ashes. And yes, like you said, I tend to suck at most Souls like or any game that brings on inspirations from the Souls genre. I don't complete them because of the difficulty. Like I get frustrated and I say, yeah, forget this. This is for masochists, and I'm not one. And I really enjoyed Remnant. Like it was something about it just really caught me, and just maybe it was the gameplay with the guns and being able to being able to go back and fight various different bosses and feeling like there wasn't too much exploration. Like I didn't have to get lost exploring the area. Like it was, clear exits. Like this way, you exit out, keep moving forward. I know that you might attest to this. I think there's a lot of exploring to be done in Souls games, right?
Yeah, and you don't know whether or not you should be exploring that area or not, and it can be frustrating when you have to backtrack. Remnant really does strip that down and makes it about, can you finish this task of beating this boss? Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Here's an upgrade, move on. It's going to be even harder next time.
Exactly. And I was explaining this to Tyler that one of the hardest bosses is you went in one of the hardest boss encounters in the game, you encounter it like right off rip in the first level. Um so it's one of those like I've after I got through that, I felt extremely accomplished. I was like, "Oh my god, like, I could get through this game. I got through that boss. Okay, let's
I
go."
could do anything. Yeah.
You know?
Word.
So
I feel like Souls games are always like that. Hard, like they really, it's like a entry fee. Like you got to pass this boss to play.
yep. So that one was a very big surprise for me just because I did not expect to like it. I remember you mentioning it and I saw it was on Game Pass and I'm like, you know what? I'm giving it a shot. It's free. I don't have to buy it. Let's see what happens. And I got through it. Beat the game.
And there's new
And
DLC out. I don't know if you saw that.
I did. I both dropped. So thank God that Game Pass actually gives you 10% off on DLC for games that are in their library. So I still haven't picked it up, but instead of the 9.99 for each one, I think it's like $8 and some cents for each DLC.
Wow.
Well,
Take that. I'll take that.
yeah, take 10%
Well,
off each.
cool. Yeah, it's a game that seems to be getting good support and finding an audience, close to a year after its release. I encourage anybody that's got Game Pass to check it out if they haven't already. I enjoyed my time with it. I think, so you don't complete anything. I try to do my best, but it's one thing that grabbed Kenny enough to have him see it through to the end, and I'm glad that he had that experience to share with his friends and with us.
Hmm.
Sweetie.
All right, guys. It's moving on to Tyler, who's going to talk about the biggest surprise, something that we may have already touched on, so he doesn't have to get too far into it.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but I mean, I decided to just say Spiritfarer, mainly because like I mean, Wiley's been talking about playing it for I think like the past couple weeks now. It's just like even before it came out, we were
I've been
talking about
excited.
it a little bit. But I mean, I've looked at it and I never really thought it was something I would really want to get into. Really, kind of like one of the only reasons I got into it was because I was looking for a co-op game to play with my girlfriend. So, knowing that Wiley had talked about it a bit and knowing that it had like co-op capabilities, I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. I mean, we put probably I've only played it co-op with her, and I mean we put probably maybe 7-8 hours into it or so.
So I forgot to ask, how is the co-op? You play as the main character Stella, and she's controlling the cat.
Yep, yeah, that's exactly how it's working. And that was actually something I wanted to ask you. Was like, what does the cat do? Does the cat do anything in single player, or
Just follows you and execute.
okay?
Helps you cut down trees. I do remember that, which is just sort of automatically done. But there's no actual like inputs that you need to do, as far as I know, as far as I've seen.
Yeah, so when you are playing co-op, her controlling the cat, she is actually able to like go around the ship and like cook things or cut wood or like make yarn and stuff like that, and like feed
Ah,
you can like feed and hug the passengers. And then it is also cool that like when you are cutting down trees, you have to coordinate like how you're pushing the joystick so that you're like sawing the tree down together. So that was kind of neat.
that's fun.
And yeah, it's just like a really cool feature. Like you're able to be like a little more efficient. It seems like if you are playing co-op, with all of your cooking and everything. So it's been a solid experience, and it just wasn't something I was expecting to enjoy as much as I am.
Neat. Well, so going through the list, biggest surprises: me, Stardew; Kenny, Remnant from the Ashes; Anthony, Shantae, Half Genie Hero; and Tyler, Spiritfarer. And I hate to end the show on a negative note, but that's what's going to happen this week. We are now going to be saying our biggest letdowns, games that we thought looked awesome, that we were excited to play, and sorry, I just had to ignore a call there, and didn't end up living up to the expectations we had set. So first off, I have to say my biggest letdown of this generation, and I know it's gotten patches, I know there's been some good DLC, but it's one that I was so looking forward to. They're really gonna marry the JRPG and the Western RPG in a way that's special. It's Final Fantasy 15. It just didn't do it for me in terms of the combat, in terms of the exploration, in terms of the story. There was certainly a lot there. Certainly had its moments with your boys cooking some food. It's got some great looking um, dishes that you can conjure up, but it left me with a very disappointed taste in my mouth and did not live up to the expectations that I had set. You know, whether or not they were too high is what it is, but I was looking through my shelf, looking through my PSN library of games that I really had high expectations for that just ended up in the meh range. And for me, that was Final Fantasy 15. Yeah, I don't know what I know, Kenny, you enjoyed some of the DLC. I think I remember you saying that some of it was really actually quite good.
Yeah.
Is the base game something that you connected with as well, or
I struggled with it because I picked it up launch day. I struggled with it at first. But I did return to it after all the updates and all the, just extra love they threw into it throughout the months, and I did end up beating it in the long term, like at least 2 years after release.
when
Um,
they had completely revamped the Chapter 13 nonsense that was just for
Yep.
me completely endless slog? I guess they streamlined that and it wasn't so bad for you.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad when I got to it, but I had already heard about just all the negatives prior to the update, so I didn't have to go through it. But I did, slightly struggle at the beginning when it first released, and I wasn't. It didn't really capture me like I thought it was going to when it first came out.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say that it's a bad game. If you like it, good for you. It's just something that did not sit well with me, especially at the time of release. So Kenny, we've already harped on it earlier in the show, but is it really that bad that you're willing to give it this title here as your most disappointing game of the generation?
Yeah, yeah. As of right now, I don't think I tend to start slowing down with my Madden, like playing with how I play Madden. Like come January, come February, I've never been this frustrated, and it's only been a week and some change of the release. So
That's harsh. Football season has not even started yet. When is it
hasn't
starting?
the 10th, the 10th.
10th?
Yep. So
Full
8.
16 weeks?
Yep. Hey, yeah, that's what we're supposed to be seeing. So the 10th is when we're gonna get the opener with the Kansas City Chiefs on a Thursday night.
Gotcha. Well, it'll be interesting to see if they have success like the NBA has, or if they run into some trials and tribulations like the MLB has so far. Since there are 75 players on a football team, something like that, and there is no bubble. It does not. I don't know. I could see it going either way. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is I think we're not gonna see it go like we don't see them finish the season.
Really?
Yeah, it's too many players. I think if you really think about it, each Sunday they show up with 50 players each team, plus personnel, training staff, your coaching staff. That's way too many people. Way too many people.
Way too many people, and they're not doing any sort of like they're traveling. They're doing
Mhm.
all the same sort of thing that the
And
MLB.
I know that some teams are proposing that if they make it to the playoffs, then they treat the playoffs just like the NBA did with a bubble, with an NFL bubble. But we'll see.
Hmm. Playoffs are a long time from now, that's for
Mhm.
sure. We'll have a new president then, hopefully. Um, all right. So, Anthony, I was a little surprised to hear your most disappointing game because I thought you were, sort of ho hum. That was okay. And you just didn't get very into it. But I guess Indivisible is the one you chose.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really good. I think it was just me. I think it's not them. It's me. I didn't. There was a big slog to it. It didn't really. Maybe it was just in my head. It didn't really fit like how I wanted it to. Um, the gameplay wasn't as fluid or as, I guess, polished in an RPG way that I wanted it. I know it's supposed to be like a love letter to Valkyrie, or not Valkyrie Chronicles, Valkyrie Profile. So it's the same kind of combat. You're kind of going around doing the same thing. You're collecting these people that, you're fighting for the same cause, basically. Um, and I got to this one part that was it was cool that it was a mixed action platformer, mixed like action RPG,
Uh-huh.
where you have to climb this huge tower. You get through this like big dungeon, and then you have to climb this big tower to get to the top to fight this boss, but you meet him on the ground. And so the whole time you're on the ground fighting, and then he's just like, "Rah, brr," and blows you away, and then runs away. So you're like, oh crap, I got to chase after him. So you run after him, and then you meet him again after platforming a bunch, and you have to fight him again there. And then he blows you back. You go and you chase him again. That repeats like a couple more times. And I got right towards what I thought was the end, maybe like 3 or 4 cycles into fighting him, and he killed me. And once you die, you just have to start that all over. There's no checkpoints or anything in the middle. You just go all the way back down.
So I think maybe this coming from you is that you're a fan of the developer's previous game, Skullgirls.
Yeah.
And so maybe you just had those expectations and it just did not
Yeah. I kind of
turn
had
out the
more
way
of
you
a
wanted it.
like I wanted because the art style is great. I love the animation and the art and everything they did along with Skullgirls with Indivisible. I love the style, the art direction. I just wish it was kind of in like a quote unquote cleaner package, I guess. And I know Kenny was telling me they have DLC out for it. I'm sure they've probably updated it a lot since I last played through it, which was on launch on the PS4. I think the Switch version hasn't come out yet. Is still on the way. I'm not sure if that's released yet or not, but
I think it's out, but I could be wrong.
oh, that'd be pretty cool to play. I mean, it's hard because it's very intensive on your fingies, so it'd be a little hard
With
with
those little
mobile
buttons.
with those little buttons trying to do
Oh,
handheld
did you say
platforming.
mobile? Sorry, I thought you said Switch.
No, I said Switch.
Oh, you did. Okay, gotcha. All right, and Tyler, in familiar fashion to what he chose for the first game, is another we've talked quite a bit about on this week's show. Final Fantasy
Yeah.
Crystal Chronicles.
I don't need to cover it anymore. I already talked about my dissatisfaction with it. Just let me
What was
play
one
it.
other thing you were disappointed? What was one thing you were hoping that they would put that they didn't? You can't remember if you said or not.
I feel like I already covered everything. The local play, online progression with friends.
Anything
Jiggle-
smaller?
Jiggle physics.
Jiggle physics. That was mine. Was
Jiggle
one.
physics would have been nice.
Yeah, that's totally what Anthony was alluding to. He was like,
Yeah.
"Come on, you
High scale models.
you know you wanted it." Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
Telkies are the best.
come on,
Yeah.
Shantae, that Game Boy game
It's
has got
Game Boy game is jiggle physics. Game Boy game is more jiggle physics than this Nintendo Switch game. World's
Ah.
ending.
Give the,
All right,
play,
well,
give the
that-
players what they want.
Yeah, come on. Nintendo.
That has been a look back at our biggest surprises and biggest letdowns of this generation of consoles. Who knows what's around the corner and what we'll be talking about in the year 2026 when the PS5 or the PS6 and the Xbox 3.6 come out. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for joining us this week. Check out the podcast tomorrow if you missed it, and stay level.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.